Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The Prime Minister breaks his silence on those BPL blackouts. That story straight ahead.
BPL officials speak out about yesterday's island-wide blackout. That story is coming up straight ahead.
Internal problems in the Free National Movement continue. We've got Central and South Abaco MP Edison Key's scathing comments about opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis coming up on our news.
A man is gunned down near his Golden Gates home in the country's latest homicide. Civil aviation experts from across the world are in Nassau for the 9th International Civil Aviation Negotiation Conference. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, a series of island-wide blackouts has prompted Prime Minister Perry Christie to call for an investigation into operations at Bahamas Power and Light. The Prime Minister's comments come a day after New Providence residents were once again left in the dark on Sunday as a result of yet another major system shutdown. Our Jasmine Brown has his candid comments in this report. Jasmine?
That's right, Christina. The Prime Minister insisted today that he too is distressed about those blackouts, insisting they're simply happening too frequently. The situation has also caused widespread frustration amongst residents in New Providence. On Sunday, thousands of residents in New Providence were left without power for hours. Bahamas Power and Light says power was restored by 10 p.m. but the power company was still experiencing system instabilities.
And I'm too concerned about a Sunday afternoon when people are home, when international events are taking place at Albany, at Port Montague, where people of world prominence are in the Bahamas, when Bahamians are home watching sports, as they do, that this happened for the second time in a week.
The operational challenges up to yesterday stemmed from a fault on one of its major underground cables earlier this week, which caused a complete shutdown of its transmission, distribution, and generation systems. According to BPL, the cable was repaired on Thursday, but there have been additional challenges with syncing BPL's generation and transmission networks. Christie called the situation disastrous and says he asked BPL officials to investigate why the blackouts have been happening so frequently.
That is too catastrophic, too unusual, and is deserving of the highest investigation.
Last week, Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Paul Maynard claimed that the interconnecting underground cable has been on hand for over a year, but a contract has not been issued for its replacement. Prime Minister Christie says based on what he's been told, the issues may allegedly be a result of human error.
I've been unofficially advised. They describe it at this point as human error. I want to see what that really means, human error, because to me it is just too amazing to have happened twice in a week.
Now, Christie says he hopes to have answers to those lingering questions soon. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, today, Bahamas Power and Light officials apologized to New Providence residents, noting that the second island-wide blackout in less than a week is nothing short of their worst nightmare. GIORGIO, BAIN reports.
That's right, Christina. Following an island-wide blackout that lasted up to 7 hours yesterday, BPL CEO Pamela Hill says it was an unforeseen issue caused at the Clifton Pier station that could not have been prevented. Bahamas Power and Light CEO Pamela Hill says the frequent power outages over the past week have been a nightmare to the company and its employees who have been working feverishly to keep the power on.
What we were looking to do when that issue flared up at Clifton was to see how to make sure it wouldn't cascade into a major outage. So we took some immediate measures to do that. But what ended up happening is exactly our worst fear, which is that upon taking those measures within probably 4 or 5 minutes, one of our cables became overloaded. And that in turn led to the outage occurring.
Earlier today, Prime Minister Perry Christie called for an investigation into the frequent power outages. When asked about it, Hill had this to say.
I wasn't actually familiar with that, but I mean, certainly what I would say is as we look at yesterday's generation and what all we did in order to try to make sure that the system would continue to operate, that we wouldn't have an outage, I feel I feel good about the level of professionalism that our folks use in working to maintain the system.
Hill says the age of BPL's infrastructure plays a major part in the number of outages.
That dates back even into the 1950s. Our most recent generation is on the newer end, around about the 2013, 2014 timeframe. When we have a chance over this coming spring and just prior to summer beginning to invest, those investments in fact are going to be at Clifton Pier, really to overhaul them.
According to Hill, more funds will now be pumped into bringing the Clifton Pier infrastructure up to standard. Reporting for our news, I'm GIORGIO BAIN. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Giorgio. In other news, Central and South Abaco MP Edison Key will not run again for the Free National Movement. This after opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis reportedly held secret meetings in that constituency and plotted to remove him. PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts weighed in on the matter at a press conference today. Dana Smith has the details.
Branding Minnis a very deceptive person and a lost soul, Key asserted that Minnis lacks political experience and is not a good leader. He said he's finally seen who Minnis really is and hopes others will wake up and also see right through him. Key said Minnis and his operatives have been working behind the scenes in Abaco to remove him as MP. He claimed he was instead offered a Senate seat and ministerial position or an ambassador position in Miami. Key told the NASA Guardian's National Review, "I feel like Minnis has betrayed me." This after Key had repeatedly announced his full support of Minnis as F&M leader in the face of a plan by several F&M MPs to oust Minnis. But now Key says, "I don't want anything to do with him. The way he treated me, I have no respect for him anymore. I'm finished with him. He can do what he likes. He can go out there. And if the people are foolish enough to be swayed by his stupidity, then Lord help them." Key said the real Minnis is a very deceptive person. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no experience. You look at it now. Nico, a senior person in the F&M who has been Minister of Works, gone. Look at Chippy, gone. Lightborn, gone. Neely, gone. But Key said he sees now their actions were right. He said, "I owe Loretta an apology because they know him better than me and can see through him." PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts questioned if Minnis's own parliamentary colleagues can't trust him, then why should the Bahamian people?
He already has a well-earned national reputation as a flip-flopper, and his latest actions only serve to entrench this jaundiced and cynical view of him and his leadership. Roberts said when the sharp knives, fiery darts, and arrows took aim at Minnis, Key stood firmly by his side. But Minnis, in turn, Roberts said, backstabbed and disrespected Key. Key has suggested he may run as an independent, but Roberts said Key would also be welcomed back in the PLP. Mr. Key cut his political teeth in the Progressive Liberal Party and served for many years as the PLP representative in Abaco. The Big Tent position is still there. If Mr. Key wishes to return, he will be welcomed with open arms. Asked what kind of prime minister he thinks Minnis would be, Key said, "I don't think Minnis will ever be prime minister because he has no experience. He'd do better off to go back and deliver babies, a gynecologist. He's not a political-minded person. When you think about it, it was only 8 of us, and every single one of them got disgusted with him because he wasn't conducting himself right. He comes into the house, he sits down. 5 minutes, he's gone. He doesn't stay in the house. He's not a good leader." Reporting for our news, I'm Dana Smith.
Thanks, Dana. Meanwhile, police are investigating the country's latest murder, which left a man dead late last night. Police say the quiet community of Golden Gates erupted in gunfire last night near Mermaid Boulevard. Chief Superintendent Ken Strawn says a man returned home in his white Honda Odyssey when he was approached by another man who opened fire on him.
This male was able to flee from his vehicle, where he ran to a neighbor to seek assistance, unfortunately collapsing, and was pronounced dead by EMS personnel here at the scene.
This comes on the heels of a busy weekend for police who seized a number of illegal firearms on New Providence. Strawn says when it comes to fighting crime, police need members of the public to be their greatest allies.
Once again, we lodge an appeal to all of you out there, those who are bearing arms, those who are aware of individuals who are conveying firearms, and despite the valiant efforts of our law enforcement personnel this weekend alone taking almost 10 firearms off the street. Once again, if we don't come together and bring to bear our own personal interest in trying to seek to curb this violence on the streets, incidents such as these will continue to occur.
Meanwhile, police on Grand Bahama need your help after the body of a man was discovered Sunday morning. Police say it was shortly before 10 a.m. when officers were called to an apartment on Tangelo Lane. That's where police say they discovered the body of a man. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigations continue. Anyone with information on this murder or any other is asked to contact police at 911, 919, or 328-TIPS. Still to come on our news, a West Bay Street hotel is damaged in an early morning blaze. How hurricane relief coordinators are working to make restoration efforts as swift as possible. And an international conference takes place negotiating new air service routes. That's coming up when our news returns.